On guard, thinkers. Pray for mercy, for I, Thinkafurr, am here to give you lore. Specifically the lore of Lace from Hollow Knight Silksong. Lace, a mysterious character who makes various reoccurrences through the underlying plot of Silksong. Armed with a gilded pin as her weapon of choice, she possesses a lithe, powerful build, opting for mobility, speed, and precision in combat. Her voice acting was carried out by the voice talent Mitsuki Hashimoto. Lace will be first encountered and battled in an area called the Deep Docks, an area that appears to be heavily industrialized in the past for the intended purposes of forging and smelting. This area is pocketed by various metal containers, shaped as bug carapaces that carry hot coals, and a lore tablet here suggests the area had a trade of certain supplies such as sweet smelt and smoke rock. Now, we know that Lace will dual hornet a second time in an area that is covered in white roses. This place can be found in Act 2. The name of this area won't be named due to spoilers, but one thing's for sure. Factually, Lace will fight Hornet a second time, likely in a stronger form, no doubt. Having said that, when dueling Lace for the first time at the Deep Docks, we can see that her movements and fighting style clearly resemble a fencer, particularly that of small sword. Now look, as a fencer myself, specializing in longsword, who has dabbled in small sword, this is utterly delightful to observe and experience in gameplay as my brain tries to implement the principles of my own real-world experience. On a different note, another neat thing about Lace is that even her appearance and design elements resembles a fencer. What with the floofy pants and the puffy shoulder pads, and also her head shape that resembles a French fencer, and the hats they wear, particularly giving me the vibes of one of those three musketeers. Overall though, the attire that was worn during duels within the 18th and 19th century really does fit Lace's look and feel when you consider that it's blended into what is more or less the shell of a bug's body. Lace is an underlying antagonist towards Hornet. Within official in-game descriptions, it is stated that Lace wants nothing more than to take delight in causing Hornet's swift, skewered demise. If that isn't enough, the conversations between Hornet and Lace upon first meeting are more than enough to cement a crazed villain, facing against a hero who's faced worse and has absolutely no cares to give towards Lace's threats. The conversation between these characters is as follows. How sad, a little spider has fallen from its cage. So lost, so weak, poor little morsel. I can save you, little spider, all the trouble you'd face above, all the suffering. It's so simple. I'll just skewer you here and now, pluck that flickering life right out of you. Garama! Your threats are worthless, child. If you are my foe, stay your voice and raise your blade. Delicious. I like you already. The sheer degree of villain aura farming here is so obvious, it's really hard to miss just how much Lace has it in for Hornet, showing not a single shred of remorse at the idea of killing her. It's almost like she also doesn't have much remorse for taking life in general, almost like she opposes life. Where have I seen this before? I'm sure it doesn't mean anything, and it definitely won't be something to think about later. Hornet is equally, if not more of a badass for not even caring and goading Lace into fighting her, condescending Lace into calling her a child. Honestly, it's all utterly delicious dialogue. Now it's high time we addressed the fact that Lace refers to Hornet as Little Spider, very much a mirroring of Hollow Knight where Hornet calls the knight Little Ghost. The difference, however, is that Lace clearly intends to condescend and insult Hornet, going for that bardic vicious mockery and emotional damage. Is this something Lace would do specifically just to Hornet, or is it more of an indication of how Lace dismantles all her opponents, seeking to win a battle psychologically first before going in for the kill? I'll let you decide in the comments below, thinkers. Now, as far as it goes, in the first fight with Lace, she actually has a wide array of attacks in her overall kit. Firstly, she has a lunging attack that covers a massive distance. More than half the platform can actually be covered from this one attack alone. If you sensed correctly and dodged upwards to retake the lead in the fight, you can counter with a 45-degree pogo and follow up afterwards with more attacks before breaking away. In Lichtenau's fencing terminology, we call this phenomena the Nachreisen. This translates as rising after or following after. This occurs if we are put into the Nacht, aka before time, and are following the opponent who has the lead, or the Vor. We seek generally to stay in the lead, so if you're following and in the after time, you will need to do something to take back the lead. Generally speaking, we achieve this by using fuelin and indes, aka feeling and instantly reacting with a counter. Thus, your opponent will be killed or attacked off the Nachreisen. Now look, don't worry if this is melting your brain, it's completely understandable. I'll be doing a full video covering swordsmanship and Lichtenauer's principles in fencing later. Now next up, Lace has a double cutting attack. With each attack performed, Lace will move forward with the attacks whilst cutting from an arc that travels upwards. This is cool as because in real fencing, there is two key principles we usually apply: follow the blow and Vorschlag. A Vorschlag or a Vorcut is a German term, but it means the first cut or a cut done to take the lead and be ahead in time of your opponent. Follow the blow is rather simple. Attack first, then move your body second with the blow. We do this so that the weapon is our shield, protecting us as we attack. This is genuinely super cool to see implemented in a game. Honestly, it's a small little detail, but personally, this mix of realism in combat with stylized movements is delightful. Now, I can't confirm this, but it does feel like Team Cherry definitely did their homework. Moving on, we next have Lace's Ballesta attack. This attack begins with Lace propelling herself into the air at an angle. Once she has reached her peak in the arc of the jump, Lace will then proceed to cut or slash in a circular manner. She will then proceed to exit measure, aka the Krieg, where the opponent and you are in striking distance, and dash at an angle to the ground. Now next we have something very cool: Lace's parry and riposte. She will hold a guard and wait for Hornet to attack. The moment Hornet attacks, their blades will make contact. We call this the bind in fencing. As soon as the blades come into contact, Lace will immediately follow up in Nachreisen to retake the lead in the fight. Dashing forward, Lace will proceed to chain attacks with a small flurry of cutting attacks. If Hornet gets caught in the first attack, she is held in place and will take additional damage before the counter ends. Now, the neat thing about this is that in real-world sword fighting, people will at times goad someone into attempting their very own Vorschlag or first cut to take the Vor, all the while not actually having the Vor because the opponent was waiting in what looked like a behind-the-time situation. With the bait set, you just feel and then instantly react with your movements. The concept of using counter-offensive thinking is very big brain, and it does take a lot of practice to pull off. Now, the timing and footwork of a counter is a little bit different to a Vorcut, so there are nuances with follow the blow. Having said that, this is a perfect example. In the duel, my blade broke the bind, snaking underneath, waiting for my opponent to come forward with a thrust. Now, normally you don't break the bind in longsword fencing. That's usually a huge no-no. But the moment my blade broke the bind and snaked under, for that split moment, I waited for my opponent to move forward. Why? Because it's highly expected in the heat of the moment for your opponent to see that opening and dive on it without considering the dangers. Now, the name of this counterattack here is a Krumpau from below, displacing his attack followed by a neck thrust and a forward slice ending off a backward slice. Now, past all this stuff is probably one of the coolest and most stylized movements Lace has, and it clearly shows the raw athleticism and power that she has packed into that small and speedy frame of hers. Behold, thinkers, Lace's whirlwind attack. This takes a lot of energy, so it requires Lace to first charge up, preparing her body to unleash the stored potential energy of her muscles. Whilst she builds up energy, the arena will light up with a giant white circle indicating where she intends to attack. Once her energy buildup has peaked, she will fly forth in a dazzlingly fast display of speed, performing 4 attacks in a quadra-slash movement done in split seconds before dashing down to the ground with one final downward heavy attack, which slams the ground, indicating just how much force is behind it. Now, the inspiration of Lace's whirlwind attack is very clearly derived from Final Fantasy, where Sephiroth has his octa-slash movement. I won't lie, I'm a massive sucker for stylized attacks like this where the user can dash around doing multi-slash movements that almost look like one movement. That said, a neat detail I should add about Lace is her flourish. This is straight up just an aura farm with some damage dealt at times and is definitely designed to bait players into making mistakes. Now, to save a bit of time here, we're not going to point out all the different details of the flourish because there's actually a fair different few of them. But speaking of details, something I wanted to point out earlier but forgot to mention about Lace's designs is that her outward shell looks a lot like the outer shell of a king's mold, which are built to contain the fragile void body within. What's more, her face is jet black in color, indicating that perhaps maybe just maybe, Lace could possibly be of a similar nature to that of the King's mold. That said, I am not stating that she is the same, but pointing out the similarities here. If it's confirmed or bunked, at least this observation is made fairly. Comment below if you have referenced lore to confirm or bunk it, thinkers. Now, there's something I want to just say here. We are not going to be talking about the second fight with Lace. This video acknowledges its existence, but we are not going to spoil it. Now, let's talk about Lace's pin weapon. This weapon isn't actually uniquely hers. It's seen all over Farloom and is especially prevalent in the Greymoor areas carried by the bird-like murder turkeys we see and suffer through. What's more, if you walked through the arena in the areas joining Deep Docks to the far fields, you can see the fourth chorus resting in the background. Now, when the fourth chorus is resting, if you look closely enough, you can see that it also has a golden pin weapon just like Lace's, lodged in its neck. It's a neat bit of in-game trivia and tidbits. If you enjoyed this Lacey Lore video, hit the subscribe button and pogo off on that like button too whilst you're at it for more bugged content. If we missed anything or there's lore ideas you want to share, let me know in the comments below. If you wish to be at the center of our community for the memes, the lols, or just for fun and discussions, then join our Discord. We're a variety theory channel, so do expect a wide plethora of different videos and topics. Warhammer 40k, Zelda theories, Pokemon, Baldur's Gate 3. Huh? What? I didn't say anything. That said, have a big-brained Thonky day, thinkers. Look left and right for crazy, lacy bugs before crossing the Rubicon Road, and be sure to think safe out there. Bye-bye.